Hello and welcome to Pop Culture Shark, a pop culture live stream about all things pop culture. I'm Final Monkey,
And I'm Caleb.
and it's been a while since we've done this. It's been about a month. Holidays happened, life happened, everything happened. Um, so we're getting back into the swing of things. We might be a little rusty today. We'll see how it goes, but I'm glad you're joining us today. So
I
the
hate
first thing we always
Namor.
do. Well, I'm getting to the point where I hate all things Marvel. So or well, yeah, I was gonna say let me rephrase, but no, I think I said it right the first time. Okay.
Yeah.
Um. All right, so let's do our weekend checkup. It's be kind of a month checkup. Caleb, how you been doing, bud?
I've been doing good. I've been doing good. So holidays treated me well. Got got some pretty cool stuff. I got you got me something that we're gonna have to talk about here uh, in the coming weeks and months. I don't know how you want to do it, but we'll definitely we'll save that as just a tease, a certain book.
Yeah, a certain comic book, a classic comic book that's not Marvel, it's not DC, it's something a little different.
Mm-hmm.
So
Uh,
we will probably, I'm thinking around March. I'm gonna try to get a copy of it myself, and then we can. That'll give you plenty of time to read it, and then we
yeah,
can really dig into it.
sick. But yeah, there was that. I got quite a bit of Criterion this year, which is funny. Cameron got me Yojimbo in Criterion, which is Akira Kurosawa's samurai movie. Um that is actually what Fistful of Dollars was based off of. And so Cameron got me that. I had a friend who got me a Criterion of a movie called Being There. I'd actually never seen it before, but I had. What's that?
I was gonna say I've been told to watch it. But it's a Peter Sellers movie, correct?
Yes. And the reason he got me that is because I introduced him to Arrested Development.
Okay.
And his favorite storyline was Charlize Theron's Rita.
Right.
And he said, "Oh, they had so many references to Peter Sellers being there. It was just the same plot." And I'm like, "Really?" And so he's like, "Yeah." And so then he ended up getting it for me. He's like, "Okay, so now you're gonna see what I saw whenever Rita came about."
Awesome.
Apparently,
Yeah, I have to check that out. I've been recommended that several times and just have never gotten around to watching it.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and I'm a big Peter Sellers fan, so for whatever reason, I've just never seen that one. Um, so
But yeah, other than that, it has been a nice. Honestly, more than anything, it's been nice getting settled down and holidays are over, let's get back to life.
yeah.
How about yourself?
This past week was been a little chaotic, but Christmas time, I got TMNT: The Last Ronin. That was a really good read. Highly recommend reading that. If you don't know, that is the it's based on a plot line the original TMNT creators had, and they just never got around to writing the story about the last Ninja Turtle and him going on one last mission to avenge his fallen brethren. Uh, Really good read. Did shed a tear at the end, so I was not expecting that. But I'm just a sucker for these like the last story type stories. Like Dark Knight Returns or those types of stories. I really
Old
enjoy
Man
those.
Logan's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Um, I
You
know
saw
we.
Did you ever see Logan?
I have not. It's on my list. I know. I
Oh,
know. I know. I know. I know.
oh.
I know. It's on my list. That and John Wick 3 have been on my watch next list. So, uh,
That's not the end though, because we have like seven more of those coming out.
oh yeah, yeah, that's a massive franchise. One of the few new franchises that have become a hit in the last 10, 20
Mhm.
years. So,
Yeah,
um, but yeah, Last Ronin. If you like Ninja Turtles, this is great. This is
I've I've read up on it. It seems interesting. I made sure because I know one of the gimmicks is you don't know who it is. As far as I can tell, right? You don't know which turtle it is.
Yeah, you don't find out like the last page of issue 1 which turtle you're reading about.
So I've done pretty well about avoiding that, because that seems interesting. That seems like something that I definitely could get my hands on.
And what's cool is the action figure is out, and he has
I saw that.
a black headband, and he has all 4 turtles' weapons. So it's like,
Yeah.
who is it?
Yeah,
They
and
keep it
and
intriguing.
it doesn't say like, his name. I think it just says the last Ronin.
Right. Yeah. So, just a fun read. It's dark. It's very tragic because it's kind of telling his current story, but then you're flashing back to what happened to everybody else. So very cool read. What else did I get? I just got some new Ninja Turtle figures. I got Casey Jones, so that is cool. I've got some more on the way this week. I've got a Hudson Gargoyle on the way, and I've got the last Ronin figure on the way this week. So that'll be cool.
The Casey Jones, is that a Mirage one, or
Yes, it is the Mirage one.
how do you feel about that design?
Uh, it's a cool figure. I can pull up a picture of him. I don't love how he looks with his mask off. Let me see. Let me try to find a picture real quick. Okay, so let me add this to the stream. It's been a while since we've done this. So I'm like, how do I do that again?
Because for me, I think the quintessential, and I'll say this about like the entire show, because it's kind of like the definitive version of the Turtles, but the definitive Casey for me is the 2003 design.
Right.
And Mirage, very, very different.
Yeah, I love the mask on the Mirage figure. Like I said, the face sculpt I'm not crazy about like you. I prefer the 2003 look. I've heard that the variant of this is probably going to come out with a red tank top.
The red
Um,
tank top's what I know.
yeah, but yeah, this is. I mean, I've got the Mirage turtles on my shelf, so he fits right in with them. Um,
We need to get you a Marvel Legends Daredevil figure, just kind of complete the collection.
yeah, just him saying, "Hey, you guys ripped me off." Um,
You guys are my
yeah,
pet turtles.
yeah, I could do a whole show about these the NECA figures. They've got some really cool ones coming out. Uh, they've got a Mirage Splinter that's about to come out, and he's real short, which is cool. That's how he was in the old comics. So, um,
The one NECA thing that I always looked at myself was they had the NES version of Batman that I thought was cool.
yeah, yeah, those are cool, and they've got the foot soldiers from the old NES game and stuff, and
Yeah.
those are really cool. Um, I don't know if you've seen the monster figures of the turtles.
Uh-uh.
Oh, you haven't seen those?
No?
Let me find a picture real quick because it's cool because they're doing like like Raphael as Frankenstein's monster, that sort of thing.
Oh, that's
And
great.
but the Casey Jones one is the best. Um,
I mean, I assume it's who I think it is.
yeah, I'm just trying to find a cool picture. Let's see. This is not Casey, but this is most of the figures. I feel like today it's just gonna be a lot of us catching up because we haven't talked like in a month.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that picture's too small. Hold on a second. Let me find a different picture.
I'm on NECA's website. I just saw the April one.
Okay, yeah, the April one's cool because it's Judith Hogue from the movie.
Yeah.
Which is really cool, and she's been doing a lot of like commercials and stuff for him.
No,
Um,
what I thought would have been funny is if she was a witch or something like that,
okay, here we
because
go. I
then
found you a
she would be
picture.
her character from Halloween Town.
Yeah, there you go. uh, here is Invisible Donatello, Van Helsing, Splinter, and Casey Jones of the Opera.
That's great. That's not who I thought, but that's great.
Who did you think it was going to be?
I confused monsters for horror movies in general, and so I thought that
Okay.
he was going to be like Jason Voorhees.
That
But
would be
no,
cool, but yeah, no, these are the classic
yeah,
monsters.
the Hammer monsters.
What's fun is the Michelangelo one. I don't know if you've seen a picture of the TMNT costume from the original movie, how it's rotting, like
Yeah,
current
yeah, I've
day.
seen that.
So the Michelangelo head on the mummy is that rotting
Oh my
head.
god,
So
great.
it's pretty cool. Um, there are supposed to be more figures announced, and the big rumor is that Shredder will be Dracula since Splinter is Van Helsing. Um, so that would be really cool when they announce that. So yeah, there are so many NECA turtle figures that it's ridiculous, and so I have to really pick and choose which ones I'm creating collecting. I have kind of like a set list in my head. So let me show you one more cool figure,
Yeah,
and then we'll switch to what we're supposed to be talking about tonight. Uh, they are doing a
but
lot of the Mirage figures,
mhm,
and they have announced that they are doing a Triceraton. Let me find it. They keep
that's
calling it the
great.
cartoon Triceraton. I don't want the cartoon Triceraton.
Is there a Usagi Yojimbo figure that they do?
Yeah, I have it on my shelf. It's
Oh, sick.
mine is the cartoon one. Um, and they just announced a black and white variant of him.
Oh, that's
Uh,
great.
yeah, this Triceraton. I don't know how much he's going to cost, but he is sick. Let me see. Yeah, this Triceraton figure is so cool.
That's great.
Yeah, and yeah, I can't wait for that one to come out. Um, yeah, they're starting to they've really gone crazy on the cartoon from the '80s doing figures that there's like probably like 80 figures. And so now they're going back to the Mirage line and doing some more of those, and they're starting to do the Archie line, which I really like the Archie line. Um, so that's kind of what got me back into collecting is I wanted to get those Archie figures. So, all right, we will do a show about turtle action figures one day, and just action
Just
figures in general.
or just turtles in general. I will like we get so much because we every time we get on turtles we talk so. You know what I found
Yeah,
out the other day that I'm definitely about to download.
what was that?
So I have. I'm not typically an Xbox guy, but my friends got me an Xbox so I could play Halo Infinite with them. And Xbox Game Pass and all that. And my PS4 died, so I just have the Xbox. Shredder's Revenge is on Game Pass, so I can download it right now and not have to pay for it.
It is awesome. It's a short game, but it is great.
Oh yeah, yeah. I would be upset if it was a long game because me, my dad, Cameron, and Uncle Craig, we can beat that game in under an
It'll,
hour.
it might take a little bit longer than an hour. It's probably about 15 levels.
Okay.
But yeah, it's you'll probably spend less than 10 minutes on a level. Um, so it's really cool. Uh, I bought that for my brother actually, and then I got it for Switch also. We've been playing the 6 player online multiplayer over the
That's got to
phone
be
and
so
everything.
cool.
It is. It's very chaotic. It's pretty fun though. Um, yeah, really really cool game, and we'll be talking about that later tonight. So I'll hold my thoughts on that. All right, let's get on to the news. Um, First off, we had an unexpected announcement of a series that a franchise I thought was dead. Frankly,
I'm
Tron
so
3
excited. I'm so
was
excited.
announced, um, and Not my favorite actor, but we'll see how he does. Jared Leto is going to be starring in it.
He's been attached for a while. Um, I'm trying to think of what the what Tron 3 was originally called. I might have to look this up actually, because right now it's called Tron Ares.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, it's going to be a Disney Plus movie. But you know what? I am just excited to get Tron 3 because uh, Tron Legacy, and the show Tron Uprising. I love all of them, and I'm a big fan of the Tron 2.0 killer app game. Um, Tron is one of those things that probably could be called one of my favorite franchises. I just don't think there's enough for me to warrant it to be called a franchise yet.
Yeah, because we've had the cartoon and then two movies so far.
Yep. And before Tron Legacy, there was a game that came out around the time of like Halo 1. It was called Tron 2.0 Killer App. And it was basically like, it's not canon, but it's basically like the same plot as Tron Legacy, but instead of Kevin's kid, it was Alan's kid.
Yeah. So
Um,
we'll see. I mean, this is exciting, but also Disney's kind of a mess right now. So we will. Hopefully, this will be good. Um, yeah, I still haven't seen the second Tron movie, and
it's good.
the first one I have seen, but I was a little kid, so it's a blur what it actually
Oh,
was
okay,
about.
gotcha. No,
Yeah.
I am a big fan of all of them. Um, and you know that honestly, I think if I say that, it should really it should really say something because it seems like something that I would find like hokey and dorky. Like it's so hard to get me into Star Trek apparently. Um,
What's wrong with you?
I don't know. I like Tron more than Star Trek. That doesn't make any sense. Um, but yeah, what I'm curious about is who they'll get to do the soundtrack because Daft Punk, unfortunately, um, you know, disbanded. They broke up, and I think Tron Legacy soundtrack is one of the greatest film soundtracks of all time because of Daft Punk. So I'm curious what they'll do. Maybe we'll get a reunion just for the movie. Maybe they'll get like Glitch Mob or something. I just really hope that it's someone in that same vein because I don't typically like techno. Cameron, Daft Punk is his favorite band. So honestly, he probably has more authority about this than I do about who they should get for Tron. Um, but it's just interesting to think about who they should get. Oh, and
Awesome.
we have a Tron game coming up this year called Tron Identity. It's a detective adventure. We don't know much about it, but yeah, I mean, like for somehow things are looking good for Tron.
Yeah, it's weird. That was a franchise I thought was over, and then we're starting to hear rumblings about Lita, another franchise I thought was over. So we'll see what comes of that.
I need Cyberpunk to come back. I want Cyberpunk back, and not the. Unfortunately, I think CD Projekt Red has sullied the the genre of Cyberpunk because of their game that was also called Cyberpunk.
Next on our news, we have some Avatar 3 rumblings. Actually, we have like Avatar 4, 5, and whatever rumblings.
Yep.
But I'll hold off on saying that. This is something you're more into than I am. I have not seen
Yes.
any Avatar films.
Yes, I love the news is for me today.
Yeah, yeah,
That's what we're
it's
doing.
all Halo
Um,
news today.
so we have gotten names of, or at least rumored names for 3, 4, and 5. 3 will be called Avatar: the Seed Bearer. 4 will be called the Tuken Rider, and 5 will be called the Quest for Awa. which I love these names. They are super corny. Uh, and I just like Way of Water is kind of a corny name, and so it all kind of fits. But I'm super excited for these going forward, and we'll talk more about this, later in the show. But it definitely seems that like the main character is going to be more about Jake's second son. Um, and if we're talking about who the Toolkin writer is, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I mean, Final Monkey has no idea what I'm talking about with Toolkins and everything. Um,
I know
but
some of the plots. I'm following about 3/4 of this conversation right now.
all right. Um, but it's also been revealed that Jake is not going to be the narrator going forward. It is actually going to be his second born son. So um, it definitely seems like he's going to be the main character, and it's actually been said that the third one, the Seed Bearer, is going to be focusing on the Ash people, or the people of Ash. The first movie was the people of the forest. Um, the second movie was about the people of the water. Now we have the people of the ash, which I suppose is a volcano or fire. So I assume by movie 5 we'll have the Avatar.
Yeah, this was my issue going on with the Avatar movies when they came out. Was I was a big fan of Avatar: Last Airbender, and at first I was like, oh, haha, it's just a coincidence that it's called Avatar because him, taking on this avatar form with the alien. Okay, I get it. Haha, whatever. And now it seems like no, they really are ripping off Avatar: Last Airbender. Oh, and then the Fire Nation attacked. And you're like, wait, hold on.
I'm excited for it, but yeah, it is noticeable that I please give me a blind earthbender.
I was about to say if we get if they beat the rock people, there's a blind one. I'll be like, wait, okay, hold up.
She's my favorite character in the James Cameron's Avatar franchise. Uh, her name is Toof.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, if like the main fire ash guy, if he has like an uncle following him around, I'll be like,
It'd be great is if the main fire guy is based off of Zuko, but played by John Travolta. So you get two Zuko's.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
Yeah, my name is Danny. Hi there. What's funny whenever when I was growing up, I watched more Batman than Grease, and every time I talk about Grease, I'd be like, yeah, it's where John Travolta plays Tony Zuko. Which I think would be interesting. Like what if Tony Zuko grew up and like Sandy broke his heart, so he went on to kill the Flying Grace?
Just I've got a broken heart. Let me kill these acrobats. I need the insurance money. Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I got to say on Avatar. We don't know much, but it's just cool to know that things that I never thought would be franchises are becoming franchises. Tron, Avatar, love it.
Avatar was such a gamble, and we'll talk about it here more in a minute. Because it'd been over a decade since we had gotten a sequel, or since the first movie. And yeah, the first movie was a smash hit, but it was kind of like Avatar is not like you don't go to the store and people are buying Avatar T-shirts. I've never seen anybody wear an Avatar T-shirt. It's not like that part of pop culture. So the fact that the movie has done $2 billion is crazy. So we're a little late. We're almost done with the first month of 2023, but we're going to look at the best of 2022. We just want to talk about and celebrate some of our favorite TV shows, movies, video games, or events of the year. And to be honest, it was not. I don't think it was the best year for movies. We there's a few that stand out that I think are outstanding, but overall, I mean, the Marvel movies were kind of meh. I mean, you hit or miss. I mean, some were better than others, but it's not like we had like a Spider-Man No Way Home this year or anything like that that just blew our minds.
No, you know what? It was like it was. I think it was a good year for movies, but not traditionally. I think 2008 was a good year for movies because you get Iron Man, Dark Knight, Incredible Hulk, Speed Racer, like all these big pop culture movies. Same thing with 2014. You had Guardians and you had Captain America. I think this year was a good year for what Martin Scorsese calls cinema. If that
Yeah,
makes any
a little bit
sense.
more. Yeah.
Not
Um,
necessarily pop culture, just I think we had some good movies this year.
yeah. And so let's talk about what I think is one of the best movies I've ever seen, and the one that everybody's talking about right now.
I
Although
meant to
I was
see
talking
it
about it,
beforehand, but I still haven't seen it. I meant to see it before we started.
I was talking about this movie before it came out. So everything, everywhere, all at once. We've talked about it several times on the show. Um, I adore this film, um, and it looks like it's finally getting the recognition that it deserves. I think. Uh, I listened to a lot of different review shows and stuff, and I've only heard one person so far that did not like the movie. So
Let me
uh,
ask this: what was the reason for it?
uh, it was a little bit plot uh, details,
Oh, gotcha.
and we could have that discussion another day.
Okay.
Um, yeah, he just.
Do you agree with it, but it doesn't ruin it for you?
I didn't have an issue with it. If you were, let me put it this way: if you're a very conservative person and any themes that you disagree with, you cannot watch. You're like, oh, I can't believe they went there. Then you might have an issue, if that makes sense. So, like, um, I can watch a movie that deals with themes that I don't disagree with if it's a good story and if they're tackling those themes. Like, this is an interesting story that you're telling me, and
Hmm.
you're not just being woke for the sake of being woke, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah. Hmm.
So if you go on this movie going, oh, yeah, that's something that's usually woke, I'm gonna have a problem with that. Then chill out, you know. So I'll just, like I said, I'll be very general. But this movie is wonderful. It is bizarre. It is weird. It is imaginative. Uh, they filmed it on such a low budget. It does not look like a low budget film. Like you see the creativity and the special effects going on in this movie, and then you go watch Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, and you're like, Multiverse of Madness costs 4 or 5 times what this movie costs to make. Oh, it's probably like 6 or 7 times. And everything everywhere all at once just blows it out of the water completely
Hmm.
in every way. Um, and it's a very touching story at the end. It's very, very heartfelt. All the actors are incredible in this movie. Everybody. It's just fantastic. Some of the best martial arts fights you'll ever see. It's very funny. It tackles crazy stuff like the multiverse, like really gets into the multiverse, and it's complicated, but they do it in a way that makes sense. Where they're drip feeding you the information. So once you get, okay, I get that concept. Okay, here's a new concept. Here's a new concept, and by the end, you fully understand it.
Hmm.
Um, just a fantastic movie. I love this film, and I can't believe you have not seen it yet. Um,
You know what it is? It's because it's not streaming
That's what I was
anywhere.
saying. To be fair, it's not streaming on the normal. I think is it on Stars or something right now.
Yeah, which I mean that's the equivalent of an HBO free movie weekend.
Right, right. So hopefully it'll jump to something else here soon, a different streaming service. Um, or Caleb will just go to a red box or something. But
You know
yeah,
what? I'm about to. I'm telling you.
uh, I don't. I think there's a few red boxes here at Walmart's, but most of them have vanished. So I don't know how it is in Kentucky at the moment.
I actually,
Uh,
you know what? I haven't seen a red box in a while, but I haven't looked.
yeah, it's one
So,
of those things that you just kind of overlook, and then one day you're like, "Oh, where'd they go?" It's like it's like telephone booths back in the '80s. Like, oh, they're everywhere, and you kind of just start ignoring them. Then all of a sudden they're all gone, and you're like, "Wait,
and yeah, remember
where'd all the
Remember whenever Redbox killed Blockbuster and then Netflix did that to Redbox?
yeah?"
There's
And then
always a bigger fish.
then Netflix will just go under, and I'll be like, "We have nothing now."
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah, so uh, like I said, I can't say enough good things about this movie. It's thought provoking, it's creative, it's fun. You might cry. It's great. Uh,
I've been told about that. Like, so unfortunately, I have seen one line because Twitter was obsessed with it. It has something to do with doing the laundry. Um,
oh, so good.
yeah,
Oh,
I, I I'll have to watch it. Yeah.
let me look at the actor's name because I do not know his name off the top of my head. It's the kid from Indiana Jones, Short Round.
Oh, Short Round. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know. His name is Short Round.
yeah. He is to me the best part of the movie. Like Waymond is his character name, and I just identify with his character so much. Um, he is just he's just fantastic, and I'm unfortunately I'm not finding his name off the top of my head, but um, he deserves every award. He's winning a lot of awards right now. Ki Hua Kwan is his name. I'm sure I mispronounced that completely, um, but he's just great. uh, and Michelle's great in it. Michelle Yeoh and the daughter is really good. She hasn't been winning as many awards as the others, but she is such a good character and good actor. So highly recommend it. But we'll move on to one of yours because
Yeah.
we'll just be here all night. So go
Yeah.
ahead and pick one, and then I'll pull up the.
Well, we were just talking about it. So what I did was because I could have picked a bunch of movies. I went ahead and I picked one movie, one TV show, one video game, one thing with music, and then one thing with just like miscellaneous, just to kind of like cover our broad spaces. So my favorite movie of last year, and that's not to say there weren't a bunch of amazing movies, but my favorite movie last year was absolutely Avatar: Way of Water.
Yeah,
Um,
let me add that to your screen. There you go.
I absolutely loved this film. I went into it a little hesitant because I loved the first movie so much, and yes, it had been um 10 years, but it was such an original story. It was a better story than the first one. This was just better than the first. Um, and it was one thing that I love about these, and I feel so sad for those who decide to not watch these in the theater, but I'll catch it streaming at home. It's different because this is the type of movie that is meant for theaters. This movie is why theaters are still around. You put on your 3D glasses and you are transported to Pandora. This movie is absolutely beautiful. It is one of the best looking movies I've ever seen. Um, the action is great. Characters are great. Um, and the characters have so much depth. Even Stephen Lang's character from the first movie, who had a lack of depth, is so much more interesting in this one. um, I could just gush about this movie all day, all night. um, it is so good. um, and I'm glad that we are getting more. James Cameron continues to prove that he cannot make a bad movie,
Yeah,
which
he's pretty great.
yeah, which
And
I
that
firmly
did bring up
believe that.
you did bring up one of the reasons I have been avoiding the movie is the 3D. I just historically cannot do 3D glasses. Being a glasses
Sure.
wearer myself, it's just a hassle. So
Yeah. I can confirm that my dad, as far as I can remember, he took the first movie really well. He definitely got sick watching this one. Now, keep in mind, he absolutely loved this movie as well, but he definitely struggled with the 3D this time around. I
yeah,
think the best way to go about this, um, to about how good this movie is my mother, who is notorious for getting up and going to the bathroom during movies, did not get up. She even said, I mean, like, I was looking for a place to use the bathroom. I mean, I just was ready to go. I was willing to miss something, but then I'm like, this movie is too good. I can't miss any of it.
she needs
Um,
that. She needs that app that tells you when to go to the bathroom. I can't remember what it's called.
right.
There is one that's like, oh, when's this scene? Go.
Yeah. But and I mean, I think she got up twice during the Batman, which is another 3 hour movie. That's another thing. This is a 3 hour movie, and I'm not going to say it's one of those movies like, oh, it's 3 hours, but it didn't feel like 3 hours. No, it felt like 3 hours, but I didn't care. I was spending 3 hours on another planet. It was phenomenal. Um, yeah, that's all I get to say. I freaking love this movie.
Well, that's good. And you know, online people get in this habit of, oh, I love this movie or I hate this movie, and they get in fights. And I try not to be that way. I'm trying to, like, you know what? If you like a franchise, awesome, more power to you. This is just not one that I'm into.
Sure, yeah.
So it happens. It's
Yeah.
totally fine. And I people are going to have different opinions than you, and that's
Mhm.
awesome. Let people like the franchise they like, and you can like what you like. You don't have to get
Yeah.
mad at each other.
I didn't completely crap on Star Trek, right?
Just a little. All right. So speaking of that, this is a movie that I had you watch, and you were kind of like, "Yeah, it was all right," but I thought it was
Yeah.
really great. RRR, and I had my brother watch, and he was kind of like, "Yeah, it's all right," So it's going to happen. But uh, I thought this movie was a lot of fun. It is an outrageous movie. The action scenes are totally unbelievable. You're like, okay, this is kind of like a cartoon, but I found the story very engaging, very moving. Uh, it was funny at points. It was, there was heartbreak when you find out the one guy's backstory. Just that opening scene is shocking and dark.
Mhm.
So, um, it's really cool when you see something that didn't come through Hollywood. There's a lot of fun to watch, and that's kind of how everything, everywhere, all at once is. It's an independent film that just kind of blew everybody away. Um, so, if you like a good action movie, it takes a lot of liberties with history and changes what happened. But the two main characters are based on real people, but the story obviously never actually happened. So, but like I said, outrageous action scenes, villains that you really love to hate, uh, a crazy dance number. Uh, I think it's a lot of fun. Um, so yeah, RRR. I think it's still on Netflix.
I believe
Um,
so.
yeah, I highly recommend people check this out. So
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's for me. We're talking about a lot of 3 hour movies today.
yeah,
I think for me, this one was definitely just one of those like, well, I see where you could have cut it off and make this another movie, and I see where you could have made this a trilogy.
yeah. It basically feels like three movies crammed into one. Like each R is a section of the film.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's almost like three mini movies you're watching that are telling one big story. So yeah, that was RRR. And just like you, I did pick three movies, but then I've got a TV show and a video game on my list. So
Gotcha. Well, let's go ahead. And what you guys are going to notice is the majority, not the majority of my stuff, but some of my stuff is actually from later on in the year. So my favorite game that came out last year was a game that I did not expect to like as much as I did. And that is Sonic Frontiers. Um, Sonic Frontiers is it's one of the best Sonic games I've ever played. I'm a big Sonic fan. I'm a big fan of your Sonic Adventure, your Sonic Adventure 2, and I enjoy Sonic the Hedgehog 2006 for what it is, which is a bad game, and I enjoy it for that. um, but this harkens back because with the boost arrow, which you've got your Sonic Colors, Sonic Unleashed, and uh, Sonic Forces. I really didn't enjoy those a whole lot. I played them and they're fun. They're Sonic. But this one just goes straight back to Sonic Adventure. They stick with the boost, but they change the boost formula a little bit, and it makes it so much better. Really, it is what I've wanted from an open world Sonic game. I mean, you just feel like you're flying. This is Breath of the Wild, but with Sonic, and you feel like you're flying across the fields. It's so cool. Um, Boss fights are some of the best boss fights that I've played in a long time. They do boss fights really differently because the boss fights, like every boss fight, feels like the final boss of a Sonic Adventure game, and there are 4 boss fights, and it's just great. And in that vein, each boss fight has its own vocal theme by Kellen Quinn, and I love Kellen Quinn.
Is he the one from what's that group called?
I can't remember the name of the group.
Crush 40 or Smash 40 or something?
No. So Crush 40 hasn't done the music in quite a while. They've actually started getting like actual bands. I think it was starting with Sonic Unleashed whenever they had Bowling for Soup do Endless Possibility. No, it started with Sonic 06 because they got Zebrahead to do his world. But no, Kellen Quinn is for Sleeping with Sirens. One that was funny was in Sonic Forces. They had Douglas Robb from Hoobastank to do the songs, which was a lot of fun. But yeah, Kellen Quinn is part of the post-hardcore Sleeping with Sirens, and he's great. These songs are great. It really gets you pumped up for the boss fights, and it's just so fun. I never thought that I would love the combat in a Sonic game before. There's a combat system in this game. And it is so much fun. It is like Breath of the Wild meets Devil May Cry crammed in a Sonic the Hedgehog lunchbox, and I did not expect to like this as much as I did. Elden Ring is the game of the year. I will not deny that. But this hits everything for me personally that I got to give it to Sonic Frontiers for Caleb's 2022 game of the year.
Nice. All right. Let's move on. And I'm going to cheat a little bit. I added a 6th one to my list that just popped in my head. I was like, oh, I forgot about that.
Sure.
So we'll get to that. Let me switch off from movies for a minute. We'll talk about a TV show, Cyberpunk Edgerunners.
Oh, I didn't know you watched that.
I did. I was comparing everybody saying, oh, you need to watch this, whatever. And so I did kind of hesitantly, and I watched the first episode. I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. I mean, it's cool, but it's, and so then I ended up watching the whole series, and I was just blown away.
Okay.
Very emotional story. Animation is extremely hyper, and it's a little bit different than what I'm used to. But this is a extremely violent show. Not for children, a lot of nudity. But it was a very tragic tragic story, and
It wouldn't be a Cyberpunk story if it wasn't tragic.
yeah, and
I mean,
you're
I showed you Blade Runner 2049, so uplifting, but still tragic.
yeah, I mean you're rooting for this character, but if you watch the the opening credits, it ends with him getting shot in the head. So you're like, well, I don't. I just feel like this is not going to end on a happy note. Uh, so, and it has oh gosh, I'm gonna. It has that Franz Ferdinand song for their opening theme song.
Oh gosh.
The one about the how's it go? Shoot, we're gonna burn this city. How's it go? Burn this city, burn this. Anyhow,
Yeah, I know that one.
yeah. Um, so, it, if you like futuristic stuff, this was a lot of fun. Um, really cool action scenes. There's a character on there, and this has just been long enough for me to forget everybody's names. What's her name? Courtney? I can't remember her name, but she's like this short girl. She almost looks like a mini Harley Quinn, and she's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Let me ask you this, because I actually haven't seen this. Cameron's been trying to. He's like, "Hey, you want to watch Cyberpunk? You want to watch Cyberpunk?" And I'm just like, no, not right now, not right now. Let me ask you this, because they're both video games. They're both franchises based on video games. They're both by Netflix. Is this better than Arcane?
It's two different flavors.
Okay.
I think I like Arcane better because I really enjoyed Jinx's story in that. I thought it was a very tragic story. By the way, the girl's name was Rebecca on the show. That couldn't think of her name. But it's just two different things, and they kind of hit differently.
Okay.
I feel like Arcane had slow moments. Like anytime they'd show like have you watched Arcane?
Yeah.
So like when it would switch to the High Council story, that wasn't as exciting as everything going on with the two sisters.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't really have any of those slow moments. Everything is just
high octane,
building and building and getting worse and worse and worse. And I know nothing about the video game, absolutely nothing, other than when I was done watching this, I just looked up to see if this had anything to do with the game, and this is almost like a prequel to the game. So a lot of these characters aren't even mentioned in the game. Like there might be references to them in the game, but the game really doesn't have anything to do with them.
Okay, gotcha. Which Johnny's. So the only character that I know about is Johnny Silverhand, and that's Keanu Reeves' character. He's not in this at all.
No, I think that from what I've read, and like I said, I'm not an expert on this. I think the bad guy that he fights, Atom Smasher or whatever, he's in this.
Okay,
but not. There's no references to Keanu Reeves' character.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't want to give away too much because it'd probably give away who survives and who doesn't. But yeah, this is a fantastic watch. Like I said, not for kids. Absolutely not for kids. And I just realized I misspelled cyberpunk. All right.
Cyberpunk, yes, cyberpunk. Cyberpunk, yes.
What happens when you do this quickly 5 minutes before the show starts? There we go. Oh, here, let me fix it again. Hold on.
But yeah, I definitely want to watch this. My only concern is last time you told me to watch one of these shows. I became a League of Legends fan. So
yeah, I don't know. Well, I've heard that they have fixed that Cyberpunk game. Like it was a mess when they launched it, and I've heard they fixed a lot of stuff. So who knows?
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, but definitely check out Cyberpunk Edgerunners.
Yeah, Edgerunners,
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm gonna go with some TV streaming as well. This will be a big surprise for everyone. because I don't typically like this franchise. However, this just impressed me so much that I think I'm going to go back and I'm going to watch everything. I'm going to watch everything all at once that they've ever done, and is of course Star Wars' Andor. For those of you who don't know, I have an unhealthy Star Wars obsession. I'm a big fan of the franchise, and this show is just so good. I had a feeling that the show would be good for a couple reasons. Because you had Book of Boba Fett and you had Obi-Wan Kenobi. I liked those. Most people didn't, because these are beloved characters that people care about. And one of the things that Andor has going for it is, who gives a crap about Cassian Andor? You can do whatever you want with his character and people won't care.
I don't even remember his character, and I saw Rogue One.
Yeah. I think so. You know how you watch Clone Wars and it retroactively makes the prequels better because you get more? Andor is doing that for me with Rogue One. The more I watch this, I'm like, you know what? Maybe Rogue One's not that bad, because I care about Cassian Andor. But it's such a good show. One of the most interesting things, and this was probably the main reason that I thought this was going to be a good show, is because the showrunner is Tony Gilroy. For those of you who don't know, Tony Gilroy was the director of the original Bourne trilogy. So this is very much the Bourne identity in space, and I love that. But Tony Gilroy has said that he doesn't like Star Wars. So Disney, let's get some more people who don't like Star Wars to do Star Wars stuff.
Hold up. That is dangerous. I'm not saying that you have to love Star Wars to make a Star Wars, but when you do that, you will get people like, oh, I'm going to subvert expectations, like Rian Johnson, or you get Star Trek Nemesis, which was a complete disaster. So it's not that you have to love the material, you have to respect the material.
Sure. So
you don't have to be a fan, just respect what has came before.
Right. And whenever I say that, I'm thinking of like, Tony Gilroy has said he doesn't like Star Wars. Chris Avellone, he was the game director for Knights of the Old Republic 2, one of the greatest games of all time. And he wouldn't say that he doesn't like Star Wars, but whenever he complains about Star Wars, it's obvious. Bill Burr, one of the greatest actors in The Mandalorian, does not like Star Wars, but Migs Mayfield is one of the best characters to come out of Star Wars. Yeah, I just think it's interesting. And Timothy Zahn, creator of the Thrawn trilogy, is a sci-fi writer, and I'm pretty sure he thinks that Star Wars is beneath him. but he keeps writing Star Wars because he loves the character Thrawn that he's created, and it's all gold. So we are getting this.
The Star Wars trilogy that you wrote is the most popular out of every, there have been hundreds of books, and yours is still the most popular. You kind of have to return to those characters.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. We are getting a season 2. I know one of the things that we were all concerned about, us Andor fans, was this is so good, but nobody's talking about it. Nobody's watching it. I can confirm, Tony Gilroy has confirmed that they have started filming season 2. So it's going to be super cool. And it's going to go straight into Rogue One, which will be interesting because you have Andor, which will go directly into Rogue One, which will go directly into A New Hope. It will be interesting. Maybe that'll be like a giant marathon that like TNT can have or something. But yes, I loved the show. Very excited for season 2. and just bring me more of this. I love lightsabers, and I do. Star Wars isn't Star Wars without lightsabers, but this kind of won me over on the lack of lightsabers.
Yeah, I definitely don't think you have to have Jedi's in all of your stories. So very cool. Um, yeah, I've heard that the first couple episodes of that were slow, but
Yes.
it picks up from what I've heard. So
Yeah.
awesome. All right, I'm going to do a video game. TMNT Shredder's Revenge. We talked about it a little bit earlier. This was a return to form. Back in the day, the TMNT video game beat 'em ups were very popular in the arcades. So this is kind of a love song to those old arcade games as well as the old cartoon show. A lot of references. Is it a perfect game? No. There's some weird collectible things that I'm not sure why I was collecting them. It was like, oh, you found them all, great. Yeah, what does this do? I was unclear, and they may do something. I just haven't figured it out. But it was just kind of like, oh, you found all of Vernon's newspapers, great. And I'm like, but why am I doing this? I was hoping it would unlock something or unlock some option or do something, and it just didn't. So, um, but yeah, I've played a lot of beat 'em ups. This is a genre that I do enjoy, like Streets of Rage, that sort of thing. And I will honestly say this one, what makes this one a little different is it's fun to play. It is really, really fun. Everything just feels good when you're playing it. The moves, the animation is really good. And you start out with 6 playable characters: the 4 turtles, Splinter, and April. And then you can unlock a 7th character if you beat the whole game. So yeah, and it's like I said, lots of cartoon references. The punk frogs show up quite a bit in the game. It's fun, and then a lot of fun cartoon villains show up. Yeah. So, and like I said, I was playing with my brother and his daughter and my kids, and it took us 2 or 3 playthroughs of playing for a few hours to get through it all. Of course, when we started, we put on the hardest difficulty possible, and we just got destroyed. So that may be why it took us a little bit longer. So, but yeah, just a lot of fun. I highly recommend this if you like Ninja Turtles, if you like beat 'em ups, playing online. We didn't have really any hiccups with the 6-player online, so just a lot of fun. And it gets very chaotic. So many foot soldiers flying everywhere. So very cool game.
Yeah, I'm excited to play it. Once I found out it was on Game Pass, I'm like, oh man, I get to play this now.
Yeah.
Is it crossplay?
I do not know. That's a great question. Shredder's Revenge crossplay. It does not. There is no crossplay for PlayStation or Nintendo games. According to Google results, I'm never too sure if they are. Well, then here's another one that says it does include options to play on different platforms. So, yes. Crossplay is limited to the Xbox and PC version of the games. Players on PlayStation and Nintendo Switch will unfortunately be restricted playing those on the same. Okay, so if you have a PlayStation or a computer, you can, or not PlayStation, Xbox or computer, you can. So yeah, but here, check out this artwork I just found. This game is so cool. I mean, yeah, the cutscenes are it's just fun.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so there's lots of cutscenes like that, and it's just fun. If you like, especially if you love the old TMNT arcade game, you have to play this. And that was a big part of my childhood. So, very cool game. We need more of them. I have like a dream Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game like that. There's a game on Congregate that's like one of those dinky pixelated games. But the way it works is anytime you kill an enemy, you can now play as that enemy. So any enemy
Okay.
you defeat, you can play as. And what that does is it unlocks different parts of the level. All of a sudden, you're playing as a flying character. Now you can go up, and there's a whole other part of the level of different exits and stuff. So I've always wanted like a TMNT game like that, where you've unlocked Wingnut. Now you can fly, and if you fly up here, there's a whole other part of the game that you didn't even know was up here.
Okay.
Or like there's a door that only bad guys can go in. So if you're a foot soldier, you can go in that door. There's a whole another level. You know, I would love to see something like that. Even if when you're playing for foot soldier, all you can do is punch and kick. It would still be fun just to be able to play as anything in the game. So I don't know. That's my dream game. So, what is next on your list?
Next up for me is going to be one that is pretty important to me. Last year, my favorite band unfortunately lost their drummer, Taylor Hawkins. Um, and they had some tribute concerts for Taylor. And I just thought that these were so these next two are actually they're pop culture related, but they're not like products or anything like that. They're more of just ideas. I think that them you know having an entire concert dedicated to Taylor is just great. They had different people come up and play drums with the Foo Fighters throughout the night. Rufus Taylor, who is a Roger Taylor, drummer of Queen's son. They had Taylor's son as well come up and play drums with them. The one kid who beat Dave Grohl in a drum off, she came up and played drums too. It was just a lot of fun, very very emotional. I will say, for me, it is hard to watch, especially whenever they're singing times like these, and Dave is struggling through it to get through it without completely bursting into tears. But it was just beautiful, and it was a nice way for people to heal from this loss. It really shows that things have changed because of the internet and because of society now. 15,000 people were not able to mourn. Well, it was definitely more than 15,000, but they were not able to mourn a lot of musicians' deaths like the way we were able to mourn Taylor's death. And that is because of the advancements we've made in technology and as a society. And I just thought that it was great. And I am excited to see where the band goes from here. They have announced some shows coming up within the next year, not a tour, but some different festivals and whatnot. And they've said that they're definitely going to be a different band going forward, and I would expect nothing less, because you can technically replace the drummer, but you cannot replace what they brought to the table. Every drummer's going to bring something different, and it was just a cool way to honor Taylor, and that's really all I got to say.
This question is going to sound solely insensitive. Is not.
Yeah.
Did Animal play the drums at the concert?
No. That would have been fun. Here's the thing. In context, that is not an insensitive question. I don't know what you mean. In context,
Right. Was the Muppets there?
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
But Dave Grohl was in some of the Muppet movies, and they've done some stuff with the Muppets. So that's what.
Yeah. And he's actually had the drum off with Animals. So in context, not an insensitive question. But no, unfortunately not. But No, that would have been fun. Um, but yeah, that's all I got to say. Like I said, my next two are going to be less, products, more just ideas and events that took place last year.
Right. Um, all right. So I'm gonna switch back to movies.
Hmm.
Uh, this movie I had wanted to see in theaters. I just never got to it, and so then I was like, oh, it's on Netflix.
Yes, we watched it for my birthday.
Yeah, Bullet Train, a lot of fun. I wish it was done a little bit better at the box office, but just a fun action movie. If you
Oh
like stuff
yeah.
like John Wick or that sort of thing, this is great.
Yeah.
It's almost like you mixed up John Wick with like Snatch or one of those movies. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, a lot of fun. I thought all the side characters were fun. You got all these crazy flashbacks.
Lemon and Tangerine are just the duo of the year.
They're great, and I don't want to get into spoilers, but I wasn't happy with what happened to some of them. But who
Give
knows?
me
Maybe we get a prequel or something
yeah.
to them, or some. I just want to see more of them.
It's fun. Shortly after I saw this movie is whenever they started talking about how Aaron Taylor Johnson's the front runner for
Yeah,
James Bond, and like before this, I would have been like, I don't see it. After this, I'm like, okay, you give him a little bit of a Roger Moore script, make him a fun James Bond, he could do it.
yeah. Aaron Taylor Johnson. I'd seen him in Age of Ultron. That was kind of my only exposure to him. I know he's
He's
done other
kick,
things.
he's kick ass. That he will be kick ass to me.
Yeah, but that was the only thing I saw him in. So I was like, oh, this guy's nothing. It wasn't that good. Like Quicksilver, I don't care about this guy. After seeing this, I'm like, oh, I'll watch anything with him in it. He's great.
Oh yeah, he's so much fun. And Brian Tyree Henry, I've always loved him too. Um, and like I said, I think Brad Pitt is great in this movie. The Brad Pitt and Sandra Bullock dynamic is great. But Lemon and Tangerine really make this movie. Did you end up watching this with the family?
Yeah, we all. I think Jackson doesn't usually watch movies with us, but I think he watched this one, and
Okay.
yeah, we really liked it.
So when because you were like, I want to get the family. I sent you, hey, just tell them that Thomas the Tank Engine lore is
Right,
extremely crucial to the film. Did
right.
that pay off for you?
Oh
You're,
yeah, we enjoyed all the Thomas the Tank Engine references.
it's,
And the fact that
you
it's the
know,
main part of the plot that's pretty great.
whenever I don't remember the name of the black tank engine, but whenever uh,
Is it Percy or something? It was something he kept.
Percy, yeah. But whenever Brad Pitt sees it on Joey King's, and he's like, "What? I knew it!" Like it's like they just paid it off for that one thing, and it was great.
Yeah, yeah. It's
And
it's a fun movie.
yeah, and I love Michael Shannon.
Oh yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, I'm not the biggest Brad Pitt fan, but I thought this was pretty fantastic. So, and
I would
if you watch Deadpool 3, you'll know that he has a surprise cameo in that, and then Ryan Reynolds
Deadpool
has a
2.
surprise cameo in this, or Deadpool 2.
Mhm.
So you can tell they kind of traded off, like,
Yeah.
okay, if you do this in this movie, I'll do that in that movie.
Oh, it was great, and I believe the director was the one that directed the Deadpool movies, right?
Yeah, Tim Miller, I believe so. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So it all shakes out. I thought that I thought it was so funny that Michael Shannon. You know what? I don't want to get into spoilers for this, but um, the Ryan Reynolds cameo. I mean that sent me rolling. It was great.
yeah. And this also had one of my favorite actors who, unfortunately, I never can remember his name, but the guy who played Scorpion, he is just
Oh,
always awesome in
is it
anything. He's it.
Ken Watanabe?
Is that his name? I'm not sure, but he is fantastic in anything he is in. I think the first thing I ever saw him on was Lost, I want to say. And as soon as I saw him on Lost, I was like, "Oh, this guy is great." So,
See,
but
now you
very
got me
cool
one.
movie. Do what?
Now you got
Oh,
me one.
yeah.
I don't think it's Ken Watanabe. No,
No, I think that's a different guy. I think
no.
that's
He's from Inception.
yeah.
Well, now I gotta look it up because now it's gonna annoy me.
So,
'Cause-
but anyhow, Bullet Train is fantastic. Hopefully, we get more movies like this. Oh, and the soundtrack where they were playing "Staying Alive," but it's there's a melody group that's like Spanish or something that's doing the music. I can't think of their names, but that whole soundtrack is a lot of fun. So
Hiroyuki Sanada.
yeah, that's why I can't remember the name. Doesn't roll off the tongue, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, really cool. So let's get to the last one of yours. And we actually have more to say about this because
Yeah.
they've had the best year 2023. So here we go.
Yeah. So I selected this, like right before everything happened. But I thought that the state of D&D was pretty cool, and in a sense, I still do, because I think that we're just at a point. Like I played D&D with I like in prior years. I played D&D with my group, and that's it. I played D&D with so many different people this year. I just think it's so cool that like I think it's finally, because there was a point where it was like, like I play in D&D, like, oh, you play D&D, nerd. And then after Stranger Things came out, it was like, hey, I play D&D. Oh, that Stranger Things thing. Oh, that's cool, I guess. Now I'm like, hey, I play D&D. Yo, so do I.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So whenever I say the state of D&D, I mean it as like how I perceive it.
Yeah, so it's kind of gone mainstream, so for better or worse, wherever it comes with that. So a lot more people have their eyes on it. But yeah, it's definitely way more popular than it was when I was a teenager. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Unfortunately, with this whole mainstream thing, Wizards of the Coast has decided to be like, hey, you know what? We're not monetizing this enough, and that's actually what they said. It's not me, making a joke saying that. No, they said they feel that D&D is an under monetized product, and I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, so there's two issues. One is all companies are hurting right now for money, and number
Yes.
two, Vox Machina was a smash hit, and so they're like, oh, they made a lot of money off this, and we didn't get a cent of it. How do we fix that?
Right.
So you saw the same thing happen with, and I've already forgot the name of it. Well, World of Warcraft, when they the spin off of that, what is it called, Dota or something?
Dota, yeah.
Yeah, and so they kind of clamp down saying, oh, well, anytime you make a spin off, we get a cut of it or whatever. So you're
Yeah.
seeing the same thing happen with Dungeons and Dragons right now. There's a lot of pushback to that, so we'll see if it actually goes anywhere.
Well, and here's the thing. So you've got a couple things going against Wizards of the Coast, which is why I'm not too concerned. So even if let's say that the internet does not bully them into submission, which there is a high possibility that Wizards of the Coast is bullied into submission.
Right.
But let's say they don't. I still have the source books. I still got I can still play the game that I've been playing.
Yeah. It's just if you wanted to try to monetize it, then you're gonna have to deal with them.
Yeah. Well, and fun fact, Vox Machina started on Pathfinder, so they could go back to Pathfinder.
Yeah, or they could just make their own. They can do whatever. So I think this will. First off, I think they will back down. But
Yes.
secondly, I think this. If they don't, it'll all backfire in their face, and you'll see a lot of competitors pop up. Let's put it that
Yeah.
way.
I mean,
Uh,
so I've been working on my own campaign because my D&D group, we've been working on this 5-year Star Wars campaign, and we are 4 sessions away from the end, um, which is very exciting to say. Um, but yeah, I've been working on my own just straight Dungeons and Dragons. I might keep it 5e if I feel like they don't back down and they're not. I will switch it to Pathfinder. I don't care.
yeah.
Um,
Well, that's
but
cool
yeah,
that it's a growing hobby and that more people are getting into it.
yeah.
Um,
You know what? I bet you here in the next couple of years, what we're seeing with Dungeons and Dragons, and it won't be as big because this hobby is not as accessible as D&D is. D&D is a very accessible hobby. You just need a piece of paper and some dice. Um, but I feel like we'll say the same thing about Warhammer whenever Henry Cavill's stuff starts coming out. Um, Now, I've been to Games Workshop, and those miniatures are like, oh, you get one Space Marine for $60. What? So it's not as accessible, but I do think that we'll see Warhammer kind of come into the public eye as well, in the same vein as D&D, because all it takes is, I mean, what was it for Dungeons and Dragons? It was the first season of Stranger Things. All it takes is a well-written story, and your nerdy hobby becomes mainstream.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you had millions of people watching Stranger Things, and just like, oh, if just a tenth of those, or not even that, get into it, then all of a sudden you've got a big boost to
Oh yeah.
the whole hobby. So, all right, I did not ask you this before the show, but I want you to go ahead and start thinking about it. Um, what was one or two things that you were looking forward to this past year that disappointed?
Oh,
Um,
okay. Yes.
so we'll end the show on that. But before we get to that, I added one more to my list. Something that has definitely occupied a lot of my time lately. Um,
I was
and that
surprised that
is
this wasn't the game. I thought this would have been the game.
Chainsaw Man. Kind of came out of nowhere. Well,
Oh,
uh, and I guess what was fun for me was I was kind of on the ground floor. Usually on animes, I am, I start watching them after they've been out for a few years. This one, I was watching it, new episode every week. I was there watching it with everybody and reacting with everybody on the internet. So that was a lot of fun. And I really enjoyed this anime. It's really good. There's one episode that's very gross. If you've seen the show, you know what I'm talking about. Um, but yeah, the characters are really interesting. Powers is such a fun character. Um, yeah, and it got to the point where the cliffhangers were getting so bad that I just went to the library and grabbed the mangas and just read everything. So yeah, I'm read up through the whole, basically Act One, which will probably be like the first two, maybe three seasons of the anime. I've read all that. So, um, but I know there's more chapters past that, but the library didn't have those yet. So, um, yeah, I just really enjoyed this. I don't know if you've given this a chance yet. I think you said Cameron's more into anime than you are.
yeah. I've had so many people tell me about it. It just hasn't happened yet. I've got a lot on my watch list. So
Yeah, it happens. It's only like, I want to say 12 episodes, so it's not a long watch. And what's cool is every episode has a different ending song, and different ending animation. Um, some of those are and some of those have been songs that I have just listened to nonstop since then. So, uh, just a lot of fun. So, Chainsaw Man, highly recommended. All right. Um, we will close out the show, talk about anything that has we were looking forward to and just kind of disappointed. Like I said, I know I just sprung this on Caleb. I'll go ahead and go first, since I already know which one I want to talk about. Um, and that is, I was really looking forward to the show, She Hulk.
so That'll be one of mine because that is exactly immediately what I thought of.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were both looking for sure. I still only saw the first episode and jumped out.
I have not seen any. I think I've seen the Daredevil episode because my dad showed it to me. But yeah, no, I was so excited. I love courtroom drama. Apparently, they don't.
Yeah, they're like, we don't know how to write a courtroom drama. I'm like, watch 3 episodes of Law and Order, you'll be fine. You know, if you've grown up, you know, watch an episode of Matlock, watch an episode of Perry Mason. It doesn't take you long to learn this. So, or watch My Cousin Vinny. You know, they act like, oh, well, we don't know how to do it. Well, learn.
Right? Yeah. You can like. I think the funniest thing was like, hey, if you like Better Call Saul, you can watch She-Hulk, which was something that the writer actually put on their Twitter page.
And what was bad is they had Charlie Soule as a consultant on the show, who is a lawyer and writes comic books, and they still got everything screwed up. And it's like,
Yeah,
I would have admitted that you worked on this show.
yeah, and he's doing. I think Charles Soule is doing like the best stuff at Marvel right now, and unfortunately, he was on this show, so now. Now he has this on his resume.
Yeah. So if you're just joining us, this is not one of our best stuffs. This is something we were disappointed in. But yeah, I had high hopes for the show. The first episode's not bad, but it was just kind of like I could kind of see where it was going. And then I missed a few episodes, and then all I see is everybody talking about twerking She-Hulk, and I'm just like, I got better things to do with my time. It's not that She-Hulk's twerking that was so bad. It was like you could do this way funnier. You know, I had said, what if she was twerking and not? I don't know who the performer is that was with her, but
Megan Thee Stallion.
Yeah, say She-Hulk tries to twerk and doesn't know her own strength and knocks Megan out the window. In the next episode, you see Megan in a body cast suing She-Hulk. Now you've got something funny that makes sense, other than She-Hulk, woman power, I'm twerking, and it's just kind of like, oh, this is what you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This was a huge disappointment. I really enjoyed Dan Slott's comic book run on this character. I really liked this character, and this was just disappointing all around.
Mm-hmm.
This could have been so much better, and you could have just taken some of the throwaway jokes from Dan Slott's comic book and just made whole episodes around them. Like there's just a one panel gag in his comic book where Howard the Duck is in their office suing George Lucas for making Howard the Duck the movie.
That's funny.
That would have been a hilarious episode. Just have Seth Green come in there going, "Hey, you made this movie. I'm suing you. You've tarnished my image."
This would have been a great place to put Howard the Duck.
Yeah, it
would
have made sense. You could have done all kinds of court cases involving the blip, explored all the different issues with I was married, my husband disappeared during the blip, I got remarried, and now my other husband's back. Now I have 2 husbands. What do we do? You know, just all kinds of stuff that you could have done in this show, and they just threw it all away, all their opportunities.
Yeah, definitely. Or like I had one, but I can't think of what it was now. Dang it. I had one.
Yeah. I just feel like this show should have been amazing, and it's not. And like in the comic book, the Living Tribunal snatches She-Hulk into outer space and says, "I need you to judge these intergalactic trials and all this stuff," and it gets really crazy. And you could have done stuff like that where maybe the Living Tribunal puts the Avengers on trial for Avengers Endgame, saying, were they right to do all this to stop Thanos from, blah, blah, blah. And that could have been fun. You could, picture Thanos on the stand. It would be hilarious. That just me saying that is hilarious. And it would be such an amazing sight gag. Like Thanos was way too big to even fit in the witness box. You know, he's just huge. Why were you not doing this with this show?
Yeah.
It's just such a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
So She-Hulk, number 1 on my list. I didn't watch it, but I'd probably put Willow as number 2 on my list.
I still haven't watched Willow either. I actually haven't heard anything about Willow.
Well, the reason you haven't heard anything about Willow is because nobody's watching Willow.
Honestly, that is probably like, that's what people thought Avatar was going to be, but like the difference is Willow came out like 30 years ago.
30 years ago, and Val Kilmer is one of the main characters in Willow, and you do not have. I think he's mentioned in the show, but he's not in the show due to his health issues.
Yeah.
So that's a big issue. And it's not like the original Willow made $1 billion either. It's a very forgotten movie from the 80s. So I'm a big Warwick Davis fan. I love it. Love him. I heard he's hardly even in the first episode. So that is not a reason to make me watch a show where you're like, oh yeah, it's like the old Force Awakens. Well, Luke's in it for 5 seconds at the end. That is not a way to get me to watch your movie. You know.
Sure.
So
so Willow's your number 2?
Sure. Yeah, we'll go with that.
All right. My number 2 is a roller coaster ride. It is a film that came out, and people didn't see it. It's Morbin time.
You beat me to it. I was trying to type it out.
But so let me tell you my experience with Morbius. I was actually very excited for Morbius. I'm a big fan of The Living Vampire. It's a lot of fun. And I was actually very excited for it. And I actually like Jared Leto whenever he's good. I think Jared Leto is one of those actors whenever he is good, he's really good. And really, I only think that his Joker was bad. I haven't seen anything else that he's done that was really bad. It was just his Joker from Suicide Squad that was bad. So I like him. Not as a person. As a person, he is not that great.
Well, he's one of those guys that has a very strange personality, but he seems to be well behaved, unlike an Ezra Miller who's all in trouble all the
yes,
time.
Absolutely. So I was very excited, and then Morbius comes out, and everyone is just crapping on it so hard. They're memeing on it. I'm like, oh man, that's a disappointment. You know, I don't even want to see it, and so I didn't see it. And there comes a point where I'm just like, oh man, is it as bad as people say? It's gotta be like as bad as people say. And so eventually it comes on Netflix, and I'm like, let's watch this. And we watch it, and it's not that bad. like it's bad, but like the amount of memes did not register. So I had 2 disappointments with Morbius. A was it wasn't good. I was like, oh man, I was really looking forward to this. And B, it wasn't as bad as people said. I
think it commits the cardinal sin of you can have a bad movie and that's fun, but if it's a boring, just kind of run of the mill movie, then it's just kind of like, what's the point?
Well, here's the thing: people have called this the worst superhero movie of all time.
No,
I'm like, are you kidding? Like Catwoman, that's it right there.
Did you watch Generation X on TV? Did you watch?
Okay, hold on.
Which I like Generation X.
Yeah, I was about to say hot take. I like Generation X. It was a lot of fun. It's bad.
It's low budget. It's badly acted. I'm big. What's his name? Matt Frewer. I'm a big fan of. But yeah.
His character like that. That was definitely Shadow King. That had to be Shadow King. Matt Frewer as Shadow King, amazing. I love the idea. But anyway, no, I mean, like, you know what? I feel this movie is like the summer of 2007 superhero movie. We've got Ghost Rider and we've got Punisher, and it really fits in with Spider-Man 3. It fits in with those
It's like the Shadow or Rocketeer or Darkman. These movies that are they're fine. You know,
Yeah.
they're not terrible, but they're not great, but they're fine.
Yeah. So it definitely is not as bad. That right there shows me that people really did not watch this movie. Is they just meme on it without seeing it.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. I'm not saying, oh my God, I am the biggest Morbius defender ever. Go see this movie. I'm just saying that I was disappointed because it's not as bad as people said.
Yeah.
So
So
it's fine.
yeah, it's fine. That's a good way to end our show. It's fine.
Yeah.
So next week we're gonna take a sneak peek at 2023. What movies are coming out? We might throw in some TV shows. And we were just talking about Morbius, which was a weird Spider-Man spinoff that maybe shouldn't have gotten a movie. We've got another one of those coming out next year with Craven. And
with Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Normally I would write it off, but Aaron Taylor Johnson's in it. So now I'm kind of like, is this going to be a good movie? I don't know. And can you do a Craven movie without Spider-Man? Maybe. We've got that one coming out. We got. I don't think Madam Web comes out next year, but it's coming a little bit further down the track. And I read the plot, and I'm like, I don't hate it. I mean, I don't want a Madam Web movie, but if you're gonna do one, I guess this makes sense.
Sure, go ahead.
So next week we will be talking about what movies we're looking forward to. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
we hope you have enjoyed the show. We're gonna try to get back in the swing of doing this weekly. I'm also going to try to do some improvements on the show. I know there's a lot more I could do to make the show better. We've just been very busy this past year.
Oh, yeah.
This is just something that we do in our spare time. So,
really, what just to give perspective, the way this started was we would talk, and it's like, we could record this and put it on the internet.
When I visit for the holidays, we just sit there and talk for hours, and we'd be done talking. We still have so much more to say. And it's just like, we got to go, So yeah, this is something fun for us to hang out and chat. And then we hope that you all will join us as we chat about these things. We know that there's a lot of people there that love talking about this stuff. So until next time, I've been Final Monkey.
And I'm Caleb.
And we will see you later. Bye.
See ya.